a secondary English teacher. Cuts in education funding have just crippled our entire workforce. Pay's gone down across every subject, but particularly, STEM subjects, we can't fund them at all, we can't find teachers, and it is just as a direct result of the Tory government not paying specialists what we're worth, so we're going to go elsewhere and find that, and obviously this is for the children, is why we're doing this, because if they don't have properly educated teachers, I don't know how as they're going to develop in the way that they should. It doesn't take a specialist themselves to work out that if you have a languages teacher teaching you maths, you're not going to be able to compete on a global scale after very long. The children that are in school now have only ever experienced Tory austerity. They've never known any other way. So I think it's about time that we came out and tried to put a stop to that as workers across every sector are doing. I think if we're waiting for Keir Starmer to do anything of note, we're going to be waiting a very long time, especially when you see the sort of trajectory of where he's gone in relation to strikes. In 2020, when he was campaigning to become leader of the Labour Party, he was on picket lines down at the IOA at UCL. I remember him being on a picket line saying he's not going to ever discourage members from doing that. He's going to have a Labour Party that supports trade unionists, and less than 3 years later, polar opposite. He's not wanting his frontbenchers to be on strikes. So I think if we're waiting for him to do anything, at the best case scenario, he's going to sit on the fence. Worst case scenario, he's going to, as you say, continue everything that the Tories are already doing. I think that separating, the British government and the British leadership from war is trying to break a 1,000-year-old tradition there. But I do think at the minute with the Ukraine war especially, I think that's such an effective way for the Tory government to kind of back concerns down the road. Everything that's going wrong and everything that has been going wrong is all of a sudden caused by Ukraine. We have to help fund this. We have to stand up against Putin, but these problems existed before the Ukraine war. They'll exist after the Ukraine war, and it's a symptom of the way the British state has been ruled. The issue with Britain is going to be that we are already so far down that road of anti-union laws. For instance, take these education strikes today. If this was in Italy or France or Germany, head teachers would be out here because they would have hit the threshold. Support staff would have been out here, but they'd have hit the threshold. But because of these undemocratic 50% turnout thresholds, it's so difficult for anyone in the UK to get on strike. So yes, I support it 100%. I think workers are workers wherever they are, but I think we're so far down that road that we need to get rid of these anti-strike laws first, and then we can kind of worry about getting everyone united.
I'm Sylvan and I work in computer science. I'm on strike because we keep being asked to do more with less every single year for the last few years, and it's not tenable. We've turned slowly, gradually from teacher to social worker to TA, because we have no TA anymore, so we're doing far too much that is beyond our remit as teachers and educators, and we just can't provide the education that we were going into the profession to provide in the first place. The right to strike is something that is several hundred years old in some countries, 100 years old in this country, and we're going to see a bit more unrest if the government is unwilling to negotiate with the union. Within the unions is obviously different voices saying different things. What we're saying as a union of teachers is, come together regardless of your union, and you don't have to cross a picket line, even if you're not an NEU member. Actually, even if you're not a union member's full stop, you can act in solidarity as a worker. At some point, the union movement as a whole, with different unions in the TUC, we'll have to operate a joint strategy, because to defeat these laws, a general strike would probably help, but general strike needs to be sustained over time to have an effect, because what we're seeing at the moment is Rishi Sunak just trying to ride out a mass organised movement across different industries. So Keir Starmer on the strike movement is quite a disappointment for a lot of people who are historically Labour supporters. I think he hasn't really smelt the coffee from the word on the street about the cost of living, and he needs to put his money where his money where his mouth is, really, when he wants to support people's work, the workers of this country. I don't think anybody wants to be at war, and a war with Ukraine is something that is far remote from the worries of everyday teachers in their classroom. It is not the agenda for a workers' a workers' organised movement. But if that's an argument that's put forward to us, we're going to say, well, yeah, no, we don't want to be at war. We want to be putting money where we need it the most in this country. Who wants to prioritise killing people with tanks when we could be educating our kids and funding our NHS?